Hi guys! This month for Foodie Book Club I read Eat and Run by Scott Jurek, and its subtitle for the book is My Unlikely Journey to Ultramarathon Greatness. I'm not a runner at all, but I found the book so inspiring, and it's about his relationship with food as well, which was what appealed to me originally about the book. So he is a vegan, and it's not a preachy book about becoming a vegan. It's just a document really of his relationship with food and how he does manage to win all of these ultra marathons on a plant-based diet. And when he first starts out running, there's a big stigma that you just wouldn't get the proteins and it's not possible to do, which obviously he goes on to prove everybody wrong. At the back of the book there's some recipes, and it's just an interesting read. It's really inspiring. I don't necessarily want to go out and run an ultra marathon now, but I've always been quite interested in how people who run those kind of distances, so an ultra marathon is 26 miles plus, but most of the races that he's running are 100 miles plus, which is crazy, and it's non-stop. They run for 24 hours, so they obviously have to take on a lot of fuel to power them for that. And it's interesting about, it's definitely about your physicality to some point. You have to train hard, but it also becomes about your mindset and how you can push your body to such limits, and that's why I found it so inspiring. It's really interesting to hear how he trains not only physically but mentally to be able to do such races. And then there's the whole thing about him running on vegetables as well, which is, I don't know, I'm not in any way wanting to be a vegan, and I'm not surprised that it's possible to do that on a vegan diet, because I think it's quite well documented that that is a healthy lifestyle choice. But definitely in the 90s, when he first started running, people were really carbing up and loading on like Big Macs and big greasy meals, and these were athletes that were running really long distances. So it's interesting, his journey, and he documents how the sport has changed and how people have come to realise how important nutrition is when you're trying to race. One thing I found quite interesting, that there isn't a great deal of money in ultra marathon running. As he becomes, you know, the 7-time winner, then he's got sponsorship deals and things, but as he's coming up the ranks and trying to become really successful at his craft, he has to take on a lot of debt, and I think that's a thing as well. That's just another hurdle that he has to overcome, or another barrier that might set some people back from wanting to do such things. But he does get to travel the world, and there's some gorgeous race descriptions of where he's running, and it's interesting how he does take the time to notice the little things in nature as he's running. And they don't run with music, which I don't know if that's something most marathon runners probably understand. Like, I'm not sure, but I always think of people running to a beat. But when you're running for 24 hours, it's about removing yourself from the music and just really focusing on what you're doing and being in tune with your body. And that's what this book is about, really. It's got some interesting running tips if you are a runner, and it's got lots of meal tips and information about food if you're more of a foodie like I am. And Trevor does actually do triathlon, so I am interested in some ways in sports nutrition and fueling yourself for long extended endurance sports. But even though personally those things don't relate to me, I just found it a really inspiring read, and I would definitely recommend it, regardless of where your background is or what you're coming at the book from. You definitely don't have to be a runner or a foodie. It's just interesting in what the human body can physically accomplish. It's amazing, and this book is a great example of pushing yourself hard and reaping the rewards, really. And the rewards are almost spiritual for knowing that you've pushed yourself to the limit and carried on going. And I think there's a message in there for everybody about not giving up, so I definitely recommend it to you. Next month I'm going to read The Omnivore's Dilemma. I think that kind of fits in nicely with this, this vegan read, because I'm definitely a meat eater, but I know there's a place to pick your meals and pick where your food is coming from. So I think that will be an interesting read. So if you'd like to join in, next month we'll be doing An Omnivore's Dilemma. Thanks for watching, guys. See you. I love the idea of being self-sufficient, and every time I looked up books about self-sufficiency, this book always came up. It's kind of considered like the Bible, the go-to book for a homesteading and living off the grid.